You're watching Access Minnesota. Here's Jim Dubois.
Now, more of our interview with retiring University of Minnesota Alumni Association CEO, Maragaret Carlson. Again, looking back at your tenure, Margaret, what would you say is your single biggest missed opportunity?
Well, really, that's an easy answer. Because as I prepared for this interview with you, I said to myself, why didn't I keep a daily journal? Because if I had done that, the stories would have been there for me to sort through. Well, fortunately, I have a very good memory, and a lot of these stories are just emblazoned in my heart and my mind. But I would sure advise people, keep a daily journal.
What was your biggest disappointment in your years at the U?
Kenneth Keller was president at the university from 1984 to 1988, and he had a bold plan, which he called Commitment to Focus, and it ruffled feathers in the academic community because he said that we couldn't do everything well, so we were going to have to cut colleges and cut programs. And at the same time, the university, and particularly Kenneth Keller, was a media target because they said that the university did not do a good enough job in the financial reporting of the renovation cost of East Cliff. And that East Cliff is the university president's residence as well as the university's official residence. And other academic and athletic issues came to the fore. And President Keller's leadership was undermined. And so he resigned on March 13th, 1988. It was the saddest day in my 25 years at the university because he was one of the brightest, most visionary academics that I've met.
And where is Dr. Keller now?
Well, that is a happy story. He went on to Princeton University and then the Center for Foreign Relations, and then he came back to the university for 7 years. He now works for Johns Hopkins University, and he is running their Center for Advanced International Studies in Italy.
Margaret, the University of Minnesota is facing difficult budgetary issues during the next several years. What can the Alumni Association do to help ensure that the quality of instruction and research remains strong during these difficult times?
Well, we have 400,000 living graduates of the University of Minnesota, and they simply must speak up as advocates for this great institution. And they need to let the governor and the legislators know that education is the cornerstone if a small state like Minnesota is going to compete in a global economy. So essentially, we say to people, you need to show up, stand up, and speak up. Go to your political caucuses, find out what are the views of the people who are running for the legislature and governor, and support those that have an education agenda. And I even say to people, if you don't have the right candidate, you need to run for office yourself.
What would you say is the single biggest opportunity that your successor will face?
President Bob Brunix has been at the university since 1968, and he's been our president since 2002. He has been an absolutely wonderful leader. He has announced that he is retiring in 2011. And so my successor can help with the farewell tour, the farewell activities for President Brunix, and then help onboard the new CEO and introduce them to their legions of loyal alumni and friends.
And what might be your successor's single biggest challenge?
Well, there simply aren't enough hours in the day or days in the week to get everything done. And I think they are going to love this job. They are going to want to do everything. But they're going to have to see it as a marathon, not a sprint.
Not enough hours in the day, not enough days in the week. How long did it take you to master that challenge?
truth be told, I still haven't mastered the challenge. I try very hard, but this is one of the best jobs in the state, and you've always got an idea or a thought or someone you want to call. And so you work long hours and you love it.
And Margaret, tell us about your plans for the future.
Well, I came to Minnesota and the University of Minnesota in 1966. So for the past 44 years, I have had a continuous love affair with this university. I have either been a staff member, a graduate student, or a volunteer. And 25 of those years were as CEO of the Alumni Association. I'm at a high point in my career. I am retirement age. And so I'm thinking about this as graduating to a new career where I can work 75% time and have more time with my family and time to travel.
Can you announce your plans for your next career?
Well, I will be joining Bent Swaley Flesner, a national firm headquartered in Minnesota that does consulting for higher education and major nonprofit organizations. And I'll use what I've learned here at the University of Minnesota and Alumni Association to help other institutions with strategic planning and board development and governance, public policy, legislative networks, and grassroots advocacy.
Margaret, you've been CEO of the Alumni Association for 25 years. Your connection to the University of Minnesota goes back to 1966. That's a long time. Is it going to be difficult for you to pass the baton to your successor, given that tremendous commitment to the university that you've had over these years?
Yes and no. It has been a wonderful job, but I grew up in Kansas, and there's a saying, you don't have to die with your boots on. So it is time for me to pass that baton, and I'll be on the sidelines cheering as a proud alumna, season ticket holder, major donor, and member of the Alumni Association.
Margaret Carlson, CEO of the University of Minnesota Alumni Association for the past 25 years. Thank you so much for your service to the university, and best wishes to you in your future endeavors.
Go Gophers.
When Access Minnesota returns, reporter A.J. Holler continues our look at racial segregation in Minnesota's public schools.
Access Minnesota will return after these messages.